Hey there, cozy babe, and welcome back. My name is Chloe Taylor, and today with this pick a card, we are going to be getting a message channeled from your future self to see what the next chapter of your life is going to include, what themes are going to be coming up, and what you can look forward to. So if you've never done a pick a card before, allow me to give you a little bit of a brief explanation. So here you can see we have 4 different pile choices. Pile number 1, we have the Scrying or Illumination card. Pile number 2, we have the Jack-o'-lantern or the Protection card. Pile number 3, we have Cauldron, which says Synergy and Healing. And pile number 4, we have the Apple, which says Risk and Reward. These cards all give a different option for you to choose from. It does not matter if you choose every pile here or just 1 or 2 or 3. It's whatever you feel called to. And I would encourage, if you feel a resistance to any of these different cards, that this actually might be an indication that there is a message in this pile for you. But you're going to go ahead and head down to the description box down below where I have listed timestamps for you, and you can click on your specific reading. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn up a little bit of music for you to give you a little extra time to choose, and then we'll get into it starting from pile number 1. All right, pile number 1, I have to apologize because I think in the intro I said that this said illumination, where it actually says intuition. So you got the Scrying Intuition card. And so just as like a general theme for your reading, we're going to build it out a lot more with more cards. But I can see from this Scrying I almost said illumination again. Maybe illumination is going to come up later in your reading. Scrying Intuition, I can see that your future self wants you to know that your intuition is going to be getting stronger, and you're going to have a better sense for what is true for you and the direction that your life is going. You might be working on your like psychic talents as of right now. I mean, it is my personal and professional belief that every single person is psychic. Like, we all inherently have psychic gift. It's just some people either are born with it a little bit stronger and don't have to work as hard, or other people choose to work on their psychic gift and therefore it becomes stronger. So I believe that everybody innately has this gift available to them. It's just whether you are choosing to hone it or not. But ultimately, with Scrying Intuition, I can see that your future self wants to make a very important note to you that your intuition is going to be getting a lot stronger. So this could be just paying attention to how your body feels, how you feel. If you feel like you get any kind of sense of premonition or start to have clairaudience, or maybe you start to have prophetic dreams, things like that. Now, we also have some more themes, lots and lots and lots of really interesting themes for you, pile number 1. So first and foremost, we have this card of peace. So your future self wants you to know, if you've been going through a hard time as of late, or even if you haven't, this could also just be like peace continued, but peace is going to become a very big priority for you if it's not already. And you are going to be coming into just having more peace in your day-to-day life, in your day-to-day routines. You also have the card of Clarity, which I think is really interesting because literally this is like another scrying ball. Okay. Like literally we have the scrying crystal ball here. And then with Clarity, we have another. So like, I feel like if you've even been like confused about things in life right now, maybe about someone, something, some project, Spirit is ultimately saying with this reading here that you're going to become a lot more clear and a lot more sure. And I feel like to somebody that doesn't really work with their intuition a lot, this can kind of be a tricky topic. And I say this with all the love in the world because I myself feel that, Even in my own, I like to give personal examples in my readings sometimes because they really help, especially those of y'all that are neurodivergent. It allows you to kind of take in the reading easier. And I've actually gotten that comment a lot. So I keep bringing them to my readings because I feel that they really help people. But take what resonates, leave the rest. But just as like a quick side note here, this, even in my own life, sometimes is confusing because in my own like partnership, okay, I've been in a relationship with the same person for 15 years this year, and he doesn't live his life by his intuition. He has intuition, but he doesn't let that really, he doesn't follow it. Like, it's just not something that has ever really called to him. And he doesn't really work to hone that skill. It's just not something that's interesting to him. He tends to deal in more facts and figures and more logic based, right? Which is fine. That suits him. That works for him. However, I always tell him, and he's very good at respecting when I have a very strong intuitive pull, that from childhood, I've been a very strong intuitive person. Like, to somebody that doesn't really work with their intuition a lot, it's hard to explain. But sometimes when it comes to your intuition, and those of you that already have strong intuition, you already know, but it's almost like you have this undeniable knowing. Like, you couldn't deny it if you tried, because it's just this, it's this feeling. I mean, it can materialize in a multitude of ways. This is how it works for myself. It is this undeniable, sure feeling. Like, it is the most clarity you will ever experience. And when it comes on, it's almost like I said, you couldn't deny it if you tried. Like, it is this, you are so sure about something, and it's not foolish. Like, I know how like sometimes we want to be right and we can egoically convince ourselves that we're right. It's not like that. It doesn't work like that. So as you're honing your intuition, I want you to pay attention to that. Those of you that don't feel like you have strong intuition, pay attention to when you feel like you have this like strong pull of such clarity and undeniable certainty. That's really, to me, what it is. It's like this undeniable certainty. Because I really feel that your future self is making this a point for a reason, to point out to you that your intuition has always been trying to guide you down the path of peace. That has always been an opportunity that has been open to you, even if you couldn't see it. And the only way you're going to get there is by following your intuition and not trying to do your life in a like orderly, progressive way. You're going to have to get, honestly, a lot more clear internally. And we also have for you the card of good luck. Now, I love when we see this card because oftentimes it means that we do have a spirit guide that is a cat. But also, this is like, you need to trust that you're already a lucky person. You need to trust and be assured that you are already a lucky person, that good things happen to you, that you, every time you make a move, you are moving towards this path of peace, and that luck comes to you. Lucky occurrences, lucky instances, lucky things happen to you. I feel like you're going to actually start to believe that more and more as your future self is pointing out. You're going to be having lucky occurrences, lucky experiences. And I feel like that's also going to make your intuition stronger, because you're going to go, oh my gosh, like I knew that was going to happen. I was so sure. And then it did. So then we also have for you the card of talent. So I don't say this lightly, but I do feel like you actually have a natural talent for psychic gift, for intuition, for intuiting things. And this might be something that you've tried to repress or push down, but ultimately it's something that you were born with a natural affinity for this. And Spirit is saying it's time that you stop trying to shove it away and stop trying to push this gift that actually could make your life so much easier if you would allow yourself to have the experiences. And I get it. Like, even in today's society, much of at least like American culture, I can't speak for every culture because I'm not from everywhere, but I know for sure in American culture, like Look at how we demonize spirits, okay? Look at how movies over dramatize ghosts and how they're scary and deadly when working with the spirit realm actually isn't scary. You yourself will eventually become part of the spiritual realm. Why would your future self, like, I'm not saying you're going to die tomorrow. I don't do that kind of prediction here, but like, why would something like that be harmful? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that there aren't entities out there that intend to do harm. I think that's a real thing. However, I feel like much of the spiritual things that we see or hear or try to avoid, or like, it's like, do you ever wake up at 3:00 in the morning on the dot and you're scared because you've been taught that 3 a.m. is a scary time, when literally it's called the witching hour? Witches are not scary. Magic is not inherently evil. And I saw this meme recently that was like, 3 a.m. is the witch's hour. Literally, it's the witching hour. Everybody else go to bed. Like, that's our hour. It was meant to be more funny, but it's the witching hour. It's not supposed to be scary. It's not a bad thing. Like, it's literally the hour for witches. Like, it's not a bad thing, but we've been so conditioned as a culture to believe that, oh my gosh, you woke up at 3 a.m. That's a bad thing. You better shut your eyes and go back to sleep. Don't even look at the clock. Like, it is a conditioned in fear that literally 3 a.m. means nothing. Like, it's just a time. And honestly, if you think about how across the world, we all have different time zones, what does time even mean? Like, it could be 3 a.m. where you are, but a totally different time in somebody else's time zone. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is time? Anyways, I feel like it's important that I say these things. Your guides are very persistent, that I think there's a lot of fear in your intuition, and you're being told that this is actually very peaceful, but you're not going to get to the peace of it until you allow yourself to really push into it and to overcome and to kind of look at what the fears are that exist. And then we also have for you from your future self, we have the card of the Hermit, which does tell me that you maybe have been spending a lot of time by yourself recently, and it's because you're meant to. This is a time period in your life that even if like people have kind of dropped off from your life, or like you have maybe been forced to kind of be a little more alone or a little more solitary, this is actually a gift. Like, you were given this opportunity because it is meant to serve you at this time to get to those depths that you wouldn't be able to get had you been constantly listening to everybody else and everything else. We also have for you the card of the Star. So your future self also really wants you to know that something that is upcoming is healing. The Star card, it can talk about like fame and reputation and recognition. And so like, if that's something that you've been kind of pushing towards, this is a good sign. But the Star also is about healing from trauma. It's healing from past experiences that once really hurt us or made us feel afraid, or we've wished for healing from something. And so this to me says that your future self is letting you know that you're already on your way to this healing. Please do not take my readings for medical or mental health advice. That's not what I'm here for. Just take this as a note that it is meant to kind of note to you that healing is happening. Healing is happening. You are able to heal. And that is like ultimately healing from things that you never thought you would get the opportunity to heal from. Then we have the Knight of Crystals. So I also feel like if you've kind of lacked passion and purpose lately, Spirit is saying that you are going to be getting more passion. There's a lot more excitement coming in your life. And I want you to notice also how in the Knight of Crystals, the knight is really charging forward on his horse. They're not moving slowly. They're not going at a snail's pace. They're going very quickly. And so I do feel like this next phase of your life that your future self brought you here to hear about and to know about in advance, it's going to be a very fast-paced, passionate pursuit. We also have for you the 10 of Cups, which 10 of Cups, this is like happy, harmonious home. Some of you might even be manifesting new homes and you're going to be getting that. but you also might be like manifesting a better connection with your partner or your lifelong partner in general. The 10 of Cups is just a very positive omen for a happy home life and really getting your wishes fulfilled with a partner. So if you're somebody that is seeking partnership, or maybe you're already in a partnership that just hasn't been going very well, Spirit is ultimately saying that this is like a better connection. Like things are going to be getting better. I will say I am getting the message that for some of you, it might be that the partnership that you're in actually is not the right one, but your next partnership that will be coming is like this 10 of Cups. And you've waited a long time in your life for this kind of connection. Please use your own discernment here. Like if you know that you're in a healthy, good, committed partnership, like know that that's not your message, that you're just going to lose this partnership and have to get into another one. You know, it could be that genuinely things are just going to be getting better and easier in the partnership in general. And then we also have the card of Temperance for you, which Temperance tells me that you are creating pure alchemy. Okay. I love the Temperance card. It's one of my favorites because it is about turning crappy situations into good, positive situations. It's taking something from the past that potentially used to really hurt and turning it into something that now benefits you. It's learning a harsh lesson, but then recognizing like, oh, that harsh lesson actually really served me. And now I'm able to move forward in such a way because this has served me so well. So, I mean, I think a great example of this, in just to kind of explain Temperance a little bit more, is that even in my own life, I used to really resent the fact that I had a lot of like only children friends. Like literally every single one of my friends for the most part is an only child. My husband up until he was 19 was basically an only child, at least he's the only from his parents. I connected with a lot of only children and I'm the youngest of 7. So when it came to this, I used to be very jealous as a kid and very jealous that I felt like I was just around a lot of kids that their parents could A, give them more attention, and B, they had opportunities that I felt like I didn't have. Like I was always kind of pushed in early college to get a job. And like I wasn't allowed to just have the freedom of knowing that I was going to get like a 4-year education and then work, which I know that's very common. Like I understand that that is such a privilege to even think that way. And it's not that I wasn't somewhat supported. I just always felt this impending doom of pressure to like get a job as quickly as possible and get money in the pipeline so that I could continue to go to school and work at the same time. And frankly, I don't think anybody should have to do that. I think that we live in like a really crazy society. I don't think we should put that kind of pressure on any young person. But in any case, even though I had a lot of privilege in my adolescence, and I see that now, at the time, because I was surrounded by so many only children, to me, it wasn't enough. I was like, why am I surrounded by all these people that are able to just be supported by their parents? Why do I have to take the hard way out? Why can't I just work on my mental health? Why do I have to work on my mental health and have a job and go to school? Why do I have to go to school and have a job? Like, why? It just felt like too much. And what I kind of came to the consensus of now that I'm in my 30s and I'm not in school and I have had to work through a lot of mental health stuff while still holding down my own business. But while doing that, the conclusion that I've come to is that this actually gave me a lot of resiliency. I am not afraid to start new things. I am not afraid to go after creative pursuits. I am not afraid to like try a completely new avenue in any line of work. If I feel like it's something that sounds like fun or creative, I don't let the idea that like, oh, my family's going to see it, or like, oh no, what if it flops? I don't like get in my head about that stuff, because there have been multiple instances where if I did not work and provide for myself, like the bills were still coming. Like, yes, it sucked being in a hard mental health state and having to work, but at the same time, it gave me a level of resiliency that I don't see in a lot of other people. And again, I wish it wasn't that hard for anybody today. I wish nobody had to do that. But I can see where at my age of 32, I'm not scared to take risk. I'm not scared to put myself out there in new ways. I'm not scared if my family finds A, B, C, or D. I'm not scared to try a new creative endeavor that isn't like what I'm currently doing, because I've done it so many times. I've like forged myself through the fire so many times. And I'm not telling you this story because I'm trying to be egotistical about it. I'm telling you this story because where I used to be so resentful for what I felt like I wasn't receiving, now I see that as a superpower. And I'm like, dang, because I was kind of forced to have to do those things to keep myself surviving. Yeah, survival mode really sucked, but I have so much more resiliency. I don't let things get in my way. I will still proceed and do what I'm going to do. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, that's the point I'm ultimately trying to make. I feel like that was a really long story. I'm sorry, but that to me is like the essence of alchemy. It's taking something that used to maybe be difficult or hard or like really drag you down and synthesizing it into something that now it's something that you utilize as part of what you do or what you have or who you are that benefits you. Like, it's almost like when you're a victim of something, but then you use that victimhood to teach other people how to survive from that initial experience. Now, the next two cards we have are astrological signs, and these are like themes that are going to be heavily surrounding you right now. So first we have the sign of Pisces. It could be actual Pisces people, sun, moon, or rising, but ultimately Pisces deals with the afterlife, which is really interesting. You got like the super psychic pile. Because this deals with the spirit realm. This deals with the afterlife, what comes after death. And again, this is not me predicting your death. I don't do those kinds of predictions, but it's working with the spirit realm. It's working with the beyond. It's getting comfortable with that and becoming somebody that is maybe even a little more well-versed in it, which I know right now that might sound crazy because you might be somebody that has a really big fear of it, but you're going to be overcoming that fear. Your future self is saying like the experiences that you're about to have are going to pull you through that. And then we also have the sign of Taurus. This is all about money and personal finance. So this is a major theme for you, pile number one, that your finances are going to be shifting. Your finances are going to be increasing. You're going to have a better understanding of how to make money work for you. And your future self, especially if you've been like worried about money, I feel like having Taurus as an indicator is always a good sign. Okay, then we also have for you the card of Venom. And this card, I'm not going to lie to you, this card is heavy. Like this is, and it doesn't mean that a bad situation is coming. It's heavy in the sense that this card talks mainly about substance abuse. It's a lot about like, and I always want to say like, it doesn't have to be substance. You know, if you eat too many carrots, that can become toxic for your body and can become bad. You know, I think it's vitamin A that's in carrots. And if you get too much of it, it can be bad. Like there is such thing as too much of a good thing. I will say when it comes to Venom, it more to me talks about substance because it's like the poison that you put in your body. But Spirit is saying ultimately that there's going to be a lot of stuff that maybe you would use to really numb your body out. And I'm not here to demonize anything to you, okay? I like a little drinky sometimes. Weed really isn't my thing personally, but I've done it before. You know, there are things that when you are trying to amplify your psychic connection, you just won't be able to tolerate things the way that you used to. And I have seen this in numerous people. I've seen this in myself. There are things that your body just will not be able to tolerate anymore. And like I said, I'm not here to demonize things to you. I think that weed is fine. I think if you want to have a little drink occasionally, that's fine. Like I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to read the cards. So do what you're going to do. However, I do feel like if there is a like dependency on any kind of thing that you put in your body, Spirit is saying that you are going to have to face that. You are going to have to face where, like, if you catch yourself saying, even if you don't feel like it's out of control, but you catch yourself saying things like, oh, I smoke too much, or oh, I drink too much, or oh, I eat too much of blank, or oh, I watch too much TV, or oh, I scroll too much social media. These are the things that are going to come to the forefront and make you change your relationship with them, because that you knowing better and doing nothing about it isn't going to fly. Your future self is saying, like, it's going to become such a problem that you will not be able to just let that go anymore. Then we have for you the card of the stone. And I want you to pay attention because you literally got Temperance, which is the alchemist card. But this is also a symbol for alchemy. This triangle with the square with the circle, this is like an alchemy symbol. So the stone reminds me of like the Philosopher's Stone, right? The stone card, this is all about, again, it comes down to alchemy. It comes down to synthesizing and turning something that used to not like benefit you into something that benefits you. And I don't know specifically what it's going to be. Pile number one, Spirit isn't really giving me any kind of a preview. So I feel like this is kind of going to be different for too many of you. That happens sometimes in predictions, especially when there's a lot of people viewing a pile. I won't be able to get super specific because there are too many things that it means for different people. Okay, and then we have a few extra cards here. So we have Freedom Flows, and this card says, don't hold yourself back from worldly freedom. Dream grand things for divine sacred reason. And then I like these cards because they have little doors on the back that are just like really pretty. So I do feel like you're going to be getting some freedom in your life. If you've been feeling stuck, things are going to become unstagnated. Then we have Divine Guardian, and this says, do not be nervous today or tonight. The path you are on will lead you just right. Do not be nervous. So again, I think some of y'all are like, no, I don't want to open and unlock like spiritual gift. That shit's scary. Spirit is saying like, don't be alarmed. You're going to be led through this in such a gentle way that it's going to be okay. And then we have A Moment's Joy, and this says, sand through the hourglass, yet time could stand still. A moment lasts forever in the bliss of the heart's will. If this reading resonated with you, please leave me this emoji down below in the comment section so I know which pile you chose, and tell me what you've been manifesting and how it's been going. I genuinely take the time to read every response in the comment section, so I can't wait to see what you've been manifesting. If you would like to support me a little bit more and get some extra content for yourself, please consider supporting me on my Patreon. Every single week, I sit down and I channel astrology, tarot, and bibliomancy for you. And every single month, I give you the theme with tarot. And every single month, depending on which tier you join my Patreon at, I also do community events and we do bonus content, which can include things like vlogs, equipment overviews, extra pick a cards, extra astrology videos. My Patreon is such a good time and I would love to have you over there as a cozy babe. And if you want even more free content from me, please do consider checking out my podcast. It's called The Cozy Babes Club, and it is literally all things cozy. We talk about mental health. We talk about trends. We talk about everything under the sun. I love my podcast. It's such a great source, I feel like, of more from me, but just it's like where all the context comes together. So if you follow me on socials or anywhere else, the podcast to me gets like all the BTS. So definitely check out my podcast. It's available everywhere you listen to podcasts. Link for that down below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and don't forget to stay cozy out there. All right, pile number 2, if you chose the Jack-o'-lantern card, it also says protection. So the main theme of your reading, your future self wants you to know that you are walking into a very protected chapter of your life. And protected from all things, I feel like it's protection energetically, protection of scarcity, protection from others, protection, just protection from anything that would come to disrupt your peace. Then we also have for you several other themes. So we have prosperity, that's coming for you, which is so wonderful. Your future self really wants you to know that prosperity is something that is going to be accumulating for you. If you've been, really working on your financial mindset, or maybe you've been building something financially for yourself, there is prosperity coming your way. And I also want to say that it's not even just like you working on it. Like literally people get paid for like the dumbest things in this lifetime, and you don't have to even earn it. Like just be open to prosperity shifting for you. I swear to you, when you tap into that wealthy mindset, you will literally just start receiving checks in the mail. It happens to myself. It's happened to my sister. When you change your mindset around money and you are entering this like protected time period in your life, prosperity will just come to you. And I think the main point that your guides are trying to tell me is you don't need to expect it to come from your job or to come from a specific source. The how is not your problem, basically. That prosperity is just going to be coming to you in new and interesting and kind of unexplained ways. Now, we also have for you the card of answers, which tells me, I really am a firm believer that some years of your life are just questions, and then some years are answer years where you receive answers to a lot of those questions. And you are definitely stepping into an answers chapter where a lot of the questions you've had are going to be getting answered. There's a lot less mystery going on. Maybe you felt really cloaked in the dark in like certain areas of your life. I'm hearing that for some of you. Now, please remember, I'm not a doctor. Please do not consider this professional health advice because it's not. But I am hearing that for some of you, there's been like mystery health things going on, and you're going to be receiving answers about that finally. Like, things are going to become very clear. And then we have for you the card of strength, and your guides are asking me to point out this butterfly on this card. Butterflies might be significant to you. I'm also hearing that deer folk or deer doe, any kind of animal in that, like a stag even, might be significant to you in some way. But Spirit is saying that you are entering a time period where not that you have to be strong, because I get the sense that you've already been doing a lot of like being strong. It's that now you finally just have strength. It's not that you're stretching it. It's not that it's too much. It's not that you're going beyond your comfort zone. It's like you have a comfortable amount of strength and you are like basically sitting in your power. That's like really what that says to me. It's also like a confident card, I feel. So there's also a lot of confidence coming through. I mean, look at how yellow these first three, or rather secondary three cards are. Yellow is the color that also corresponds to your solar plexus chakra, which is where a lot of your confidence comes from in terms of the chakra system. Our personal power, that's really where that sits. Like, do you ever notice when you feel like you don't feel powerful or confident, you'll feel like almost this sense of stuckness or a certain kind of feeling at the top of your stomach? I myself fall prey to that all the time, but that might also be because my solar plexus chakra needs more work than somebody who maybe doesn't require that. But I find that this to me is really an indication that your solar plexus is getting like a healing of some kind. I'm also hearing like, again, please remember that I'm not a doctor. Please do not take any of this as medical advice. I'm just telling you what I'm getting from guides. If there's something like this that's been going on in your life, take this as a sign that this is like you chose the right pile for yourself. Use your own discernment here. But I'm hearing from Spirit that like, especially if there's been like mystery stomach issues or like mystery, like maybe you've had like gut issues, but you don't really know what the source is or where it's coming from. Spirit is saying that like that is going to be getting solved. So there's something within that. Now we also have the card of blessings for you. Oh my gosh, I don't even know if I've ever seen this card. If I have, it's been a long time. Though I have to admit, when I read and channel, I often will forget things that I've said and looked at because that's how channeling works. So it could just be that I've seen it and I just don't remember. But this is saying that like your future self wants you to know that you are stepping into a much more blessed next chapter. I feel like you just based on like the protection card alone, the previous chapter that you've been through, I feel like has been a little bit more about survival and struggle and less balance. And there's been like a lack of financial well-being, a lack of feeling like you had control. Really, to me, a lack of blessings where you're just like asking a lot, like, why me? Why is this happening? And something that your guides are telling me that you need to hear right now is that a lot of these things happened. A lot of these things happened because you were meant to see them through. You were meant to see what happens on the other side of these things. And it's not that you did anything wrong to deserve this. It's not that you it's not that like you are a terrible person or you're unworthy of your desires. It's that it couldn't have happened any other way. You were like basically being prepared to be in alignment properly. And don't you ever notice how when you ask, like this is, I think the part of manifestation that nobody wants to hear. There's two parts. And number one is that you don't turn manifestation on and off. It's happening all the time. Like literally from the moment you wake up in the morning, the thoughts that you choose, because you are ultimately the observer of your thoughts. And the more, this is a strong message Spirit is giving me right now. If you're somebody that feels like you can't control the way that you think, which like, don't get me wrong. I deal with intrusive thoughts. Like this is something that is like a function of the human mind. It's not that you're at the mercy of your thoughts. It's that you, as soon as you become conscious, and this takes effort, it's not easy in the beginning. When you become conscious that you are the thinker of your thoughts, that doesn't mean you won't ever have another moment in your life where you're not on autopilot. However, when you are conscious of your thoughts and you recognize that you are the observer of those thoughts, yes, you can choose new ones. Yes, you can stop thinking about the things you've been thinking about. You might have to strong arm your mind into it a little bit. You might have to consistently keep reminding yourself throughout the day, hey, that is that old thought. We're not going to keep thinking that. We're going to think this thought instead. But eventually, after correcting it so many times, your mind will stop going down that pathway. And that's something I hear a lot, actually. And so I feel like Spirit is using me as the vessel today to talk about this, that people will just stay stuck. And this might be something that you've done in like victim mentality about their thoughts and be like, oh, like I can't control this. Like, yeah, just telling me not to think about it. That really must work so well. Like it actually does though, but you have to put in the conscious effort and not allow yourself to be a victim of your mind. And I know it's hard. I myself I always use myself as the example because I always want to give you down to earth and like grounded information. I don't ever just want to like say some airy fairy shit that Spirit is giving me and then try to give that to you, a human having a human experience in a way that doesn't make sense. So I always try to put like experience in there so that it makes sense to the human consciousness too. But, there was through 2021, through most of 2022 and into 2023, I dealt with generalized anxiety, panic disorder. And like, that was very real. It was a very real experience I was having. And ultimately, if anybody had looked at me and been like, yeah, you should just think new thoughts, ha ha, that would not have worked. That works as well as baptizing a cat. Like, you have to get to a place where you feel safe enough to be open to the idea that you can become the observer and the thinker of thoughts. And sometimes that is not a possibility because you're dealing with too many other bodily sensations that go along with the thoughts. This is why it's so important to take things one at a time and go slow with yourself. And not everybody is going to do this at the same speed. Okay. But the ultimate point that Spirit is asking me to bring to you is that you need to know that you're not just a victim to your thoughts. You're not just a victim to your thoughts. And the more that you perpetuate this idea that you can't control them, the more you're going to live in that victim mentality that you can't control them. You can, but you have to do the work that is required to think new thoughts and constantly train your mind to come back to the thoughts that you would prefer to think. And I know that we just got real philosophical up in here, but I feel like Spirit just really has been feeling for you in that regard, I feel like you have felt like you haven't had a lot of free agency or personal power. You've been you've been very set in this victim mentality that you can't change anything. And you actually hold all of the power. You hold all of the cards, literally. And you will step into this new blessed chapter of your life, but you have to start filling your surroundings with more of what you want and less of what you don't. Like, if you constantly find that you are in like a negative headspace or a victim mentality headspace, what is the stuff that you're consuming? Are you consuming a lot of victim mentality content? You need to put the kibosh on that and choose content that is more empowering. And slowly you will see how this will sink into your life. Anyways, we're going to move on because Spirit is telling me that I'm holding this topic too long. So we also have for you the 9 of Cups. This is a really powerful card, pile number 2. I need you to know that this is like true wish fulfillment, manifestation fulfillment, getting exactly what you want and having your desires met. So this is a big deal. Okay. This is not small potatoes. It's a big deal. That's what I was going to say. Spirit was like, get to the point, Kloee. This card also kind of helped remind me though, is that 5 of Crystals, the thing is when you start to manifest, okay, there were 2 things. That's what I said. There were 2 things about manifestation that people don't want to talk about. And number 1, you don't turn manifestation off. Manifestation is not just when you're in ritual. This is why I have a really hard time with the like, don't do magic on the eclipse. Don't set in, like, I could understand not doing a whole ritual if that doesn't sit right with you. But when it comes to actually manifesting, when people say don't manifest on the eclipse, it doesn't make sense because you are manifesting every hour, every minute, every second of the day. You don't turn it off. It is based on your thoughts, your dominant vibration, your frequency, how you move through life, the choices that you make. It can be a really scary thought that you are always manifesting, but it can also be a really empowering thought in the sense that you are always manifesting, right? You're always pulling towards yourself what it is that you actually desire. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, oh my gosh. Oh, it's sorry, I almost lost it. I was like, Spirit, bring it back. Sometimes that happens too. But number 2 is that when you ask for something, when you try to set your dominant vibration to something else or on a different desire, on a different goal, on a different dream, I'm not saying you need to expect catastrophe, but don't be surprised when things in your life start falling apart. Because often when you want something big in your life, the things that are holding you back have to be released. So if you see friendships falling apart, your relationship falling apart, your finances falling apart, your job randomly falling apart, this is a clear indication that things are actually working out for you. But people get really scared when that tower moment comes and things start to shake down, 5 of Crystals, things start to get dramatic or a little scary or tense. It's normal. Of course, you're going to be afraid of change like that. But ultimately, it's a sign that things are actually working out because you're being realigned with the thing that you actually want. And I know that because you also have the Death card, which is all about transmutation. It is a death and a rebirth, a death of the old self so that you can become the version of yourself that is more in alignment with your desires. So your future self is saying that it's going to take a complete transformation of you in order to become this next version of yourself that is calling to you. Now, we also have the 7 of Pentacles. And this is all about watering your finances, watering the different avenues of money that you might have. This is also about like having more opportunities that surround you, but like ultimately know that you are the gardener. Okay. You can grow whatever you want in your garden, metaphorically speaking, but you are the person that is going to have to tend to those things. So just keep that in mind. Then we also have for you the 2 of Crystals. So this is something else I'm hearing for you, pile number 2, is that you're going to get to this place where you are going to manifest so much of what you've been asking for that you're going to be like, you're almost not going to know what to do with yourself. in the sense that you're actually going to have to dream a new dream. Like the things that you've asked for are all going to materialize almost at once. And when this happens, yes, it's going to be a mega transformation, but it's almost going to be like, whoa, who am I now that all of this has changed for me? And what version of me now gets to show up? What version of me am I now? Sometimes this can be a frightening place. I think this is another thing that people don't talk about in the manifestation community, is that when you manifest everything on your vision board, like lightning quick, and I've done this multiple times, so I know how this works. Sometimes it can be frightening because now you don't really know what to set your sights on. It can drop you into a void. Like it can drop you into a void where you're like, well, shit, now I feel like I don't have a purpose because I've done everything that I wanted to do. I've accomplished it all and I've manifested everything. What now? And the void is a beautiful place where you kind of get to explore that, but it can take time before you get to that place of deciding you want to create a new dream. So just be aware of that like there may come a time period where as you're receiving these things, this is a good thing, but know that your dream will eventually have to you're going to have to create another one. And don't be surprised by that when it happens. Okay, we also have the card of Libra for you. So I do feel that another theme that your future self wants you to be aware of is that you are coming into a time period of more balance. So things are going to feel more balanced, less chaotic. When it comes to every area of your life, Libra is the great balancer. I do feel like your relationships are going to be feeling a lot smoother. We also have the card of Earth for you, which this pertains to Tauruses, Capricorns, and what's that other Earth sign that I'm missing? Virgo, of course. How could I forget Virgo? Sorry, Virgos. But this doesn't mean that you are those signs. It means that the themes of your life that are going to be coming up are very physical, earthly matters. So this is, your finances, your physical well-being, your home, things that you deal with in the material and physical world. This also deals with your long-term vision, your long-term goals, your daily routines, your mundane tasks, your work ethic, and your personal finances. That is what all of the earth signs kind of summed up. They do a lot of the material plane work. That is their sector on the astrological wheel. So just know that these themes, for good or for bad, they're going to be coming up for you. But I would say don't worry too much about this. I don't think anything bad's going to happen because you have Libra here, which like I said is the great balancer. So I don't think this is going to be chaos or extremes. You also don't have the Tower or anything here that would tell me that. I think if anything, this is expect those areas to grow. So we also have for you the card of the Vessel. So I do feel like your bodily health, your human vessel, right? Your body. I do feel like you are going to be a lot more focused on that in the coming months. And this could just be starting a new fitness routine, starting a new health regimen, starting to just care more for your physical vessel, your physical body. I'm also hearing for some of you, if you deal with challenges with your body, again, please remember I'm not a doctor. Do not take this for medical advice. But I do feel like those of you that deal with just the way you think and perceive your body, I think is going to be changing. You're going to have a change of heart or a change of mind for a more positive ideology. And then we also have the card of the Thread for you. So this is also just kind of a callback to me of the Two of Crystals here, because the Thread, okay, the Thread card is all about how basically your life is a tapestry that you get to weave. The hands of fate also help you weave it because there are fated things in your lifetime. And the thing is, though, you are still a weaver. You are still somebody that gets to help weave this tapestry with your own threads. And you get to decide what threads get severed, what threads you're going to keep weaving, what threads you're going to completely pull out the tapestry. So this is really taking control of yourself, your mindset, your day-to-day routines. I think that's why Spirit wanted me to talk to you so heavily about manifestation, pile number 2, and you needed to hear those things, is because you are really going to be somebody that no longer lives in victim mentality. And this is not me demonizing victim mentality. I'm a firm believer, as somebody who has been a victim themselves before, you can't be the hero or the survivor until you have been the victim first. So this is not like a demonization of that. I think it's perfectly normal to go through a victimhood mentality, like time period, possibly even multiple times in your life. It happens. It's normal. But this to me is you really focusing and taking control of yourself and your life. And then we have a few extra cards here. We have the Sacred Lotus, which says, compassion is an action, the chosen tool. I see now the lotus is your spirit's jewel. And we've got this door. We have change beckons. And this one says, the path is shifting. The road leads a new way. Do not be alarmed as change beckons today. So remember, I just talked to you about this. Look at how scary this looks. And then like the light comes through the door. I feel like there is going to be some dramatic changes coming in your life, and you need to not be scared because it's realignment with where you're meant to be. And then morning memory. And like, it's not even like, don't be scared. It's a normal human reaction to be scared, but don't let the fear control you is the point that I'm trying to make. Its healing gift runs a destined course. The morning dawn, our inspired source. Meditate under the sun. And then this is the door on the back. If this reading resonated with you, please leave me this emoji down below in the comment section so I know which pile you chose, and tell me what you've been manifesting and how it's been going. I genuinely take the time to read every response in the comment section, so I can't wait to see what you've been manifesting. If you would like to support me a little bit more and get some extra content for yourself, please consider supporting me on my Patreon. Every single week, I sit down and I channel astrology, tarot, and bibliomancy for you. And every single month, I give you the theme with tarot. And every single month, depending on which tier you join my Patreon at, I also do community events and we do bonus content, which can include things like vlogs, equipment overviews, extra pick a cards, extra astrology videos. My Patreon is such a good time and I would love to have you over there as a cozy babe. And if you want even more free content from me, please do consider checking out my podcast. It's called The Cozy Babes Club, and it is literally all things cozy. We talk about mental health. We talk about trends. We talk about everything under the sun. I love my podcast. It's such a great source, I feel like, of more from me, but just it's like where all the context comes together. So if you follow me on socials or anywhere else, the podcast to me gets like all the BTS. So definitely check out my podcast. It's available everywhere you listen to podcasts. Link for that down below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and don't forget to stay cozy out there. Okay, pile number 3. If you chose the Cauldron Synergy and Healing card, which looks like this is going to be your reading. So first and foremost, your guides want you to know, and they brought you to this reading, to know that from like your future self, where you're headed, you are going to be gaining more energy and more healing just in general in your life across the board. And with that, we also have lots more cards, so many more cards, so many more things coming. But we also have for you the card of courage. So I do feel like this next chapter of your life is going to require a little bit more courage, a little bit more courageousness from you. We also have the card of happiness. So even though it's requiring possibly a little more inner strength, a little more courage, Spirit is saying that you are going to be feeling happier about it. Like this to me is almost the energy of something that you thought would just like bother you forever. Suddenly just like it's indifference. It's like Taylor Swift energy. Have you heard that song where she says, it isn't love, it isn't hate, it's just indifference. And I feel like indifference to someone or something honestly is like the most powerful you can feel towards something or someone. Because when you feed somebody love or hate, they both are such extreme energies, right? They both still give your power away. I mean, I wouldn't even want to say that like love gives your power away, but it's like feeding really intense energy either way to a situation or a person. But when you have indifference, it's like you hold all of the power. So I do feel like this is something that I just heard. Like you're going to be having indifference towards something. Then we have for you the card of reconciliation. So if there actually might be somebody that you're reconciling with, and that's going to cause the healing. And it is going to take courage, I'm hearing, to reconcile with this person, because I think you are really afraid that you're going to get hurt again. But Spirit is saying that this is like a fated reconciliation. It's happening at the right time for the right reason. And then we have for you Spirit Guide. So this is very, very guided. You have a specific guide that's actually helping you with this. Spirit is saying there's like a specific guide that is assigned to this specific thing in your life. I really get the sense that this is about a person being like more courageous. Like, I don't know why this is coming up, y'all. For some of y'all, this is a friend or a lover, a past lover. But I also heard for some of you, this is a parental figure. This is like a mother, a father, a mother figure, a father figure, possibly a grandparent, like somebody that you initially cut off or cut out of your life. And I am telling you right now, please use your own discernment with this reading. If you have like an extremely toxic family member, I'm not telling you to like suffer abuse and take that person back. What I am saying is I do think that some of y'all have been led to this reading because the reconciliation is meant to happen. And this person actually has grown. This person actually has changed. And I feel like you have really had to go to bat for yourself, and you fear that reconciling is going to take your happiness away. But Spirit is saying, because we also have for you the 9 of Crystals. This is again bravery. This is the card of bravery. Like, see how this person's already bandaged up, but they're preparing for battle again. It's like you're ready to armor up against this person or situation. But you also have the King of Cups. I don't think you actually need to armor up. I think, in fact, you have also grown so much from this original situation that you don't even need to armor up the way that you used to, because you just tolerate a lot less now. You won't tolerate somebody speaking to you in a certain way. You won't tolerate somebody stepping over your boundaries. A past version of you had to disconnect because you weren't strong enough to do that yet. But now you are. You have a really good head on your shoulders. You are very emotionally intelligent, and you have nothing to worry about with this. Now we also have for you the 8 of Pentacles. So Spirit is telling me that you have been hard at work on something, and that is going to pay off. I don't think that this is necessarily connected to this person or situation. This could be its own like thing that's coming in the next chapter of your life. But Spirit is saying that you've been working really hard to master something specific, and you're stepping into being more courageous about putting your masterful craft out. We also have for you the Page of Blades. Okay, so Spirit is saying with this reconciliation, I think you're also a little bit afraid that you will become a past version of yourself that's a little less mature. And I want you to know that this is very normal, okay? When you have cut somebody out of your life, they come back, they start pushing your buttons. It is normal sometimes to regress. It is normal to like feel that same heightened sense of anything that got you in your feels, and then you start acting in a way that is like basically in a way that a past version of you would have acted that you're not as proud of. But this is how you grow. You grow from that experience by exposing yourself to the issue and standing your ground in a new way, giving yourself the ability to not be walked on and not be trifled with. And I do feel like this person that you're reconciling with might still, like, I do think they have grown, but they definitely still have some immature tendency. I don't think that this is you. I think it's more them. Because you, to me, really come through as the King of Cups. Okay. You are emotionally intelligent. Like I said, you can handle anything that's thrown at you in this regard. But Page of Blades tells me that this could be a little bit more of an immature connection. Okay. And they still might have that air about them. You're being asked to be a little more patient with it. And the reason why, excuse me, I got the vibe that this could be like a parental figure is we have the Empress. The Empress is very much like a maternal figure, a mother figure, but I do feel like this could be a father or a grandparent even, somebody that maybe was meant to nurture you, but didn't necessarily, or like didn't do it the way that you needed, etc. I also feel like with the Empress coming out, the next chapter of your life is meant to be more of an abundant one. You're meant to have like a lot of abundance in this next season. And it is contingent on you being more courageous. We also have for you the element of fire. So I do feel like you're actually getting a boost of creativity in general, pile number 3. The next chapter of your life is going to be a very creative one because fire, the element of fire deals with passion and creativity. So this is also like your Leos, Sagittarius, and Aries placements, which we do have in tropical astrology. We do have the North Node in Aries for the next like year plus. So this to me, you know, it is like a boost in creativity, in self-confidence, things like that. And then, oh my gosh, we also have the card of Leo for you. I just was talking about Leos. So Leo, again, this is the inner child. This is creativity. It's play. It's also being really invested in the self, which you actually got 2 lion cards because you have the courage card here with the lion. And then here's Leo, the lion. So I do feel that there is like a really big boost of creativity coming your way. And you are meant to capitalize on it. You are meant to harness that creativity and do something with it, not just have the idea and let it pass you by, Spirit is saying. We also have the card of the storm for you. I'm going to be honest with you, pile number 3. I know that most people do not come to tarot card readings because they want to hear negativity. They want to hear only good news, but I have to tell you, I'm not Willy Wonka. I don't make candy at the candy factory, and I'm not here to sugarcoat it for you. I am here to give you the truth. So the storm card, it's not good. Like this card is all about kind of like a shit storm coming your way. And the thing is, if you remain courageous, hold true to yourself, hold your own, and know that healing and synergy are what is coming. You are going to be able to withstand the storm. I can't say if it is this reconciliation that is going to cause this, but ultimately the reconciliation, it's like avoiding this, it's not going to help you grow. And choosing to reconcile, choosing to stand up for yourself, choosing to handle the situation in a different way that isn't avoidance is actually going to help you gain more synergy, gain more healing, and step into a more powerful chapter because you're going to gain more confidence through the experience. But I do see that there will be some stormy times ahead, whether this is in conversation, in your relationships, in your finances. I'm just seeing that there is a little bit of a storm brewing. And the thing is, when the storm comes, it's not that you're meant to try to change the weather. You are meant to try to fortify yourself and stand tall in the eye of the storm and wait for it to pass, because it will. The storm will pass. You are not destined to just sit in this and have an awful time. The storm will pass, but you're not meant to try to change the weather. And then we have the card of the One. And this card, this could literally be that you are like finding the one. You are finding somebody that your soul is meant to connect with romantically. This can also be finding the one within yourself, like learning to be your own best friend, learning to be your own lover. I honestly think that when you materialize or manifest a person into your life that is the quote unquote the one, it often comes because you yourself have become the one for yourself. It's like the healthiest way that you can connect with the right person for you in this lifetime is by doing that. It's because like you don't technically need anyone. And when somebody organically comes into your life from that space and offers to share that with you, and like they bring their own oneness, you walk such a beautiful path together. So I do feel like from this experience, there is going to be some kind of connection that will come, whether it be in the face of like a romantic one. I think it potentially is more on the romantic thread, like you and your current partner get closer, or if you're not in a relationship, this to me talks about gaining a relationship. Then we also have for you the card of palmistry. And it says, Fortune and Tarot, Collective Destiny. The palm lines from birth tell your sacred palmistry. So this could just be like, maybe you have an interest in palmistry and it's time to actually get your palm read. Or maybe it's time to study this yourself online. There's something about it. Then we have Draw Down the Moon. It says, the forest nymphs dance in sheer delight, singing soft songs. Find us in the wild. Good night. I feel like you're a little witchy. You're a little magical, pile number 3. And then we have Nomad. And this says, the nomadic wanderer lies deep inside, so take the leap now, don't crawl back and hide. Look at this little hobbit hole. Those are just some extra messages that your spirit guides wanted you to have. If this reading resonated with you, please leave me this emoji down below in the comment section so I know which pile you chose, and tell me what you've been manifesting and how it's been going. I genuinely take the time to read every response in the comment section, so I can't wait to see what you've been manifesting. If you would like to support me a little bit more and get some extra content for yourself, please consider supporting me on my Patreon. Every single week I sit down and I channel astrology, tarot, and bibliomancy for you. And every single month I give you the theme with tarot. And every single month, depending on which tier you join my Patreon at, I also do community events and we do bonus content, which can include things like vlogs, equipment overviews, extra pick a cards, extra astrology videos. My Patreon is such a good time and I would love to have you over there as a cozy babe. And if you want even more free content from me, please do consider checking out my podcast. It's called The Cozy Babes Club, and it is literally all things cozy. We talk about mental health. We talk about trends. We talk about everything under the sun. I love my podcast. It's such a great source, I feel like, of more from me, but just it's like where all the context comes together. So if you follow me on socials or anywhere else, the podcast to me gets like all the BTS. So definitely check out my podcast. It's available everywhere you listen to podcasts. Link for that down below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and don't forget to stay cozy out there. All right, pile number 4. If you chose the Apple Risk and Reward card, first of all, I am hearing that, I don't know why, but this just makes me think of Twilight so much. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but I feel like some of y'all might be trying to live your best Twilight life. And I laugh because that's something that me and my husband say to each other all the time because we live in Washington State. So we're always like, we're just out here trying to live our best Twilight arc. But some of y'all might have even chosen this because it reminded you of Twilight. But ultimately what your guides want you to know is that there is going to be risk and reward coming up for you in this next chapter of your life. Your future self is coming in, is chiming in along with your guides, which your future self is really just your higher self, which is there to guide you. Coming in hot to let you know that there is reward to be gained. There is reward to be received, but not without taking a little bit of risk. So the first risk that you're being asked to take is that you do need to lighten your load at this time. And I know that you're scared. Your future self knows that you're terrified to do that. Okay. You maybe even have a method of how you do things, of how you just do, receive, are, create, whatever it is. You might have a lot of tasks that you kind of keep under control. And I feel like you're actually quite exhausted. And Spirit is saying, and your future self is saying, in order to get to the desired life that you're looking for, you do need to actually lighten your load and, give responsibility to other people, or maybe even hire out help if that's what you're needing. If you're in a position to do that, hire out help, or ask if somebody else can help you meet your needs. And then we also have the card of commitment. So I do feel like on one hand, you are being asked to lighten your load. I don't know that this is, it could be a romantic commitment, especially because I was talking about Twilight, but I feel like with this commitment card, this has more to do with committing to something in your own life, committing to a routine or a creative project. It could be an actual commitment. Those of you that are single, I feel like this could be trying to attract a partner into your life. But here's the thing. If you literally are always doing it all 24/7 and you don't leave room in your life for somebody to come in and like share responsibility or, share in your life. Oh gosh, I think like one of the worst pieces of advice, y'all, that I have ever been given for relationships, and this is so common, it hurts. It was, tell your partner that you don't need them, but they're nice to have around. No, 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 no. No, absolutely not. That is how you make your partner feel like they are not filling any kind of role in your life. In order for a partnership to be healthy, the partnership needs to fulfill a role. Think about that. If somebody looked at you and was like, I don't really need you, but you're nice to have around, how would that make you feel? Doesn't it make you feel good when you're fulfilling a role in somebody's life? Even if it's something simple, it doesn't have to be complex, but ultimately partnerships, we are meant to rely on each other as like a human species in general. I know that the world has us all messed up about that. Like we're not supposed to rely on anybody or trust anybody, but we've really got it backwards there. We are really, even if you look at our ancestors, right? They relied on each other for everything. And we are at a day and age where we don't have to rely on people as much, but ultimately it helps us to feel more fulfilled when we are reliant upon each other. So I do feel that there might be a little bit of risk and reward when it comes to commitment with a person, but it also could be, like I said, for those of you that just doesn't really vibe or resonate right now, it could be your commitment to yourself, your commitment to a project, a creative endeavor, something of that regard. Now, we also have for you the card of forgiveness. So this could be genuinely just forgiving yourself for things, forgiving yourself for mistakes you've made in the past, but also having forgiveness for a situation or a person. And something I always like to remind anyone whenever I see forgiveness come up in a reading, forgiveness doesn't mean that somebody gets away with something. It doesn't mean that you're giving them a free pass. Forgiveness sets you free. It allows you not to focus on or think about it anymore. So you are entering a chapter where forgiveness might be a little more at the forefront. And then we have the card of confidence. So from this forgiveness, you're going to be gaining more confidence from lightening your load. Surprisingly, I do feel like you really are somebody that thinks that lightening your load is going to create more havoc in your life, but it's actually going to create more confidence because you're going to see how things actually work out without you constantly feeling like you need to intervene. Oh my gosh. Then we also have the card of the magician for you. The magician is such a positive omen. It's about being like a master manifester and getting the desires that you want, getting what you want out of life, feeling like you are the one pulling the strings and really getting your desires met. So this to me has a lot to do with the reward that you'll be receiving. But I do feel like you're going to be feeling very confident and powerful in this next chapter of your life. Because we also have the Page of Crystals. I also feel like some of y'all might be creators of some kind. Like you are in the creative sphere, you have a side hustle, or you might even be into entrepreneurship. I feel like I connect personally with a lot of entrepreneurs as a reader. And I feel like that's because I also exude the frequency of entrepreneurship. So I just connect with a lot of y'all. But Page of Crystals, this is about like having a creative idea. And I feel that there is something about like having to risk putting a creative idea out there. But if you do it, you will be positively rewarded and surprised. See, you do need to lighten your load. You also got the 10 of Crystals. So with lighten your load and the 10 of Crystals, do you see how these cards look very similar? This one is holding up a boulder and all of these wands, which the 10 of Crystals, this is like the 10 of Wands. And then this one is like holding up the whole world. So you really do have too much on your plate. Pile number 4. There's way too much on your plate. It's starting to give you compassion fatigue, I'm hearing. You're starting to feel like you don't resonate with people or humanity or the world as much. And it's because you're working too hard. It's making you resentful of other people in your life, and it's creating lack of connection. And it is going to feel risky. If you're somebody that's used to doing it all, it's going to feel risky to put some tasks down or reprioritize. Listen, from me to you, let's not channeling Kloee, just from me to you, Kloee Taylor to you. If you're somebody that feels like you do it all, I need you to know that I've been there. Okay. Kloee Taylor, she has her tarot card channel. She has a podcast. She has merchandise. She has a website. I used to offer private readings, quite a bit of them, in fact. I'm trying to think of what else I do. Oh, I also have my Patreon where I make content every single week. Okay. And there was a point in time where I was like, I am going to crumble under the pressure of all of this. And I had to stop and ask myself, what is actually important to me? And I came to the conclusion that it was mostly Patreon and my YouTube. Those were the 2 things that were the most important to me. And everything else needed to go by the wayside. So it took me 6 months to get new merchandise out. Okay. It took me, which normally that's something that I could have done in a 2-week span, but it took me 6 months to get that done because it was not a priority. My podcast, I went from making hour-long episodes every single episode to sometimes implementing 20-minute episodes. I went from making a bunch of Patreon content to limiting the Patreon content a little more. And then I went back to uploading most of the time 2 times a week on YouTube. And sometimes I might skip a video here and there, but I think that's normal. Everybody deserves a sick day. And I also really cut contact with a lot of people in my day-to-day life because frankly, I just didn't have time. And I also needed to conserve my energy for the work that I do. And making all of those decisions, reprioritizing what I actually care about and letting some things go, letting some people go, or even just I wouldn't even say letting people go because I don't think I let truly anybody go because all the people I talk to I really care about, but just making more space in my life for myself, basically. I've never felt better. I feel like creatively I'm really on top of the world. I feel like I have my shit together. Everything feels better. So it's time to take stock of all of the tasks that you do and reprioritize what is actually important to you. Ask yourself with everything that you do, what is actually important to you at the end of the day, and then reformulate the priorities because I really get the sense that you are putting way too much pressure on yourself and it is a slippery slope to burnout, my friend. And burnout is a place that I feel like you really don't want to go. Okay, so we have 3 of Pentacles. Literally, please rely on somebody else to help you. Please. Friends, family, tell somebody about how you feel. There are people around you that want to be relied upon. It is time to let some people help you with the responsibilities that you've taken on because you have too much. And then we have Ace of Blades. I also feel like this is about cutting some things off that have been really difficult, hard, or toxic for you. Making necessary cuts to things that just are not serving you at this time. Then we also have for you the card of air. So your future self wants you to know that the chapter you're stepping into is going to be a lot more communicative. You're going to be having to talk to more people. If you're used to being alone a lot, that is going to be no more. You're going to be talking to a lot more people. You're going to be communicating a lot more. The element of air is all about the mind, the intellect, and conversing with people. So that is for your next chapter, there will be a lot more conversing with others. We also have for you the card of Capricorn, and this is all about your long-term goals, okay? This is about what you see yourself doing in the next 1, 3, 5, and 10 years. And really taking stock of that. And I'm getting the chills as I'm saying this for you because I think it must be resonating. But don't take that 10 of crystals or that light in your load. Take that seriously. That's what this is about, is reprioritizing your future goals. Because I really feel like you have some serious goals for your life. And in order to see those through, you are going to need to prioritize things and not burn yourself out. I also have for you the card of the prayer. And you know what? This is actually something that I love when this comes up because I have such strong stories about this. Now, please remember, you don't have to think about praying the way that like Christianity or religion teaches praying. Okay. I myself was religiously traumatized. I grew up Mormon for the first 18 years. I now do not have a religion and I practice chaos magic. I'm a witch. I'm a magic practitioner and I follow no like subset of rules, but I still pray. And it doesn't mean that I'm praying to like some omnipotent God or some Christianity like ideology. If that's what feels good for you, then like do that. This isn't judgment either. But for those of you that like maybe have a wounded relationship with prayer, I just want to give you a little bit of reframing that it's okay to get to that moment of surrender and feel like you need to reach out to your guides, to God, if God feels right for you, to Mama Earth, okay, to Father Sky, to the cosmos, the astrals, to your ancestors, maybe even. Whatever that is for you, I believe that we're all talking to the same source. It doesn't have to look the way that religion paints it if that's not comfortable for you. And I have such like, I've heard manifestation teachers talk about like prayer and desperation not being like a good match for manifestation. I heavily disagree with that ideology because I've had really positive experiences with prayer, even being a non-religious person. I can honestly tell you from now multiple accounts, multiple experiences. In my final moment of surrender and praying to what would be my personal guidance system, I have seen literal miracles unlock within minutes. And some of y'all have probably heard this story before. I'm not going to tell you the long version. We're going to go the short route. But there was a time period I want to say it was around 2013 because it was like right around the time I got married. It was like the autumn of 2013. I was verbally evicted from a home. I say verbally evicted because there was no paper trail of it. I've never actually had like a proper eviction notice before, but I was verbally evicted and needed to find new housing. I had no money. I was literally living off of top ramen and rice. That was all I could, like, that's all I had. And it was just me and my husband. He was working at the time. I was in the gaming industry, self-employed. Things were not going well. We had negative money in our account and no gas. The car was on empty. The light was on. And literally, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to drive myself home from taking him to work. We were a one-car family. And I remember I pulled over on the side of the road before getting all the way to my house. I turned the car off and I just started weeping and I prayed. And I was like, I cannot do this for another day. Like, this is so stressful. I don't know where I'm going. I need to find new housing within 2 weeks. I have no money. I have no food. I can't even drive my car anywhere. I don't know what to do. I literally looked up from that position in the car. There was a for rent sign across the street. I called the number. Somehow magically I still had cell service. Don't know how I managed to afford that. And the property manager told me to come view the property. It was like one street away. It wasn't actually on that property. It was one street away. Thankfully, my car made it there. This man had a stack of people that had applied for this apartment. But he met with me for not even 5 minutes. He didn't ask for a credit check. He didn't ask for my driver's license. He just was like, okay, the apartment's yours. Give me first month's rent and the deposit. Whenever you have it, you can move in like 2 days. Don't worry about it. I didn't tell him anything about my situation. In fact, I probably had mascara stains under my eyeballs and I was wearing a big baggy sweater. Like, when I tell you that was pure divine intervention, and that was like one of the best apartments I ever lived in, it literally happened within a 20-minute span after being like, I cannot do this for one more day. Please help me. I feel like that place of desperation and full surrender actually creates a lot of momentum in the, to me, it's like in the quantum field, but use your appropriate terminology there. It creates a shift. And this has happened to me a few times in my life when I've gotten to this point of such surrender, knowing I can't take another step and being like, I can't, which very much is this 10 of crystals and this light in the load. I have seen true miracles happen multiple times. The home that I'm living in right now, which is a 4-bedroom waterfront, like $1,000 cheaper than where I was living before, such a blessing, came to me in a very similar way. Like, I have had some of the craziest experiences using the power of prayer and using the power of surrender. And like, I could sit and talk about this with you for hours. And I know this is a repeat story. It's one that I tell a lot, but it's one that I have such a powerful belief in prayer because of that. It truly changed the course of my life. And like, from that point forward, because somebody was willing to take a chance on me, I was able to rebuild my life from that point and everything got better. So like, if you are at your wit's end, don't hesitate in that moment of desperation to surrender and ask for help. I think you will be very pleasantly surprised. Then we also have the healer. So your guides are saying this next chapter of your life, you are going to become the healer. You are no longer going to be somebody that is a victim to your life. You are going to become your own best healer. And I think you're going to be really pleasantly surprised how much information you obtain and learn during this time period. We also have for you, oh, you got 4 of these. Everybody else got 3. You're the lucky pile. Okay, so we got the card of offerings, and this says, abundance lies in the heart that allows. Share more than expected and see love come around. And this is what the door looks like on the back. All these cards are like doorways. Then we have the Odyssey. And this one says, take in the beauty of country lands and bounty. Explore the wonder like a gypsy traveler odyssey. A gypsy traveler's odyssey. And this is what the door looks like. And then we have a note on love. And this one says, seek different seasons and enter into the unknown. When love is the focus, foundation, and goal, blessed is the body, mind, and soul. Looks like that. And then we have the 3-eyed raven. And it says, as sunrise hits upon the dew, a messenger raven calls out with news. Prepare for the unexpected. And this is what the door looks like. If this reading resonated with you, please leave me this emoji down below in the comment section so I know which pile you chose, and tell me what you've been manifesting and how it's been going. I genuinely take the time to read every response in the comment section, so I can't wait to see what you've been manifesting. If you would like to support me a little bit more and get some extra content for yourself, please consider supporting me on my Patreon. Every single week, I sit down and I channel astrology, tarot, and bibliomancy for you. And every single month, I give you the theme with tarot. And every single month, depending on which tier you join my Patreon at, I also do community events and we do bonus content, which can include things like vlogs, equipment overviews, extra pick a cards, extra astrology videos. My Patreon is such a good time and I would love to have you over there as a cozy babe. And if you want even more free content from me, please do consider checking out my podcast. It's called The Cozy Babes Club, and it is literally all things cozy. We talk about mental health. We talk about trends. We talk about everything under the sun. I love my podcast. It's such a great source, I feel like, of more from me, but just it's like where all the context comes together. So if you follow me on socials or anywhere else, the podcast to me gets like all the BTS. So definitely check out my podcast. It's available everywhere you listen to podcasts. Link for that down below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and don't forget to stay cozy out there.